Bonjour class, today we're learning the first of two ways to compare things in French, and that first way that we're learning today is called the comparative, or in French, le comparatif. So what is the comparative? The comparative is used to compare two things to each other. That's very important because that's what sets apart the comparative and what we're learning about later. So in English, the comparative is found in examples such as the following, such as French 2 is more difficult than French 1. So this middle part that's underlined where it says more difficult than, that's called the comparative because that's the part of the sentence that is explaining the comparison between French 2 and French 1. The comparative is also found in this sentence where it says the alchemist is as long as the stranger. So although it's saying that they're equal, the part where it says as long as is describing the relationship between the alchemist and the stranger. Friday, then, Mondays. So we're seeing you can have the comparative either saying something is more, it's as, or less. Then you can also use it for adverbs. So Michael Phelps swims faster than Ryan Lochte. So the faster than is the true comparative part. And then, of course, we have UCLA is better than USC, true statement, and also a great example of the comparative. So how to form it in French. You have subject, and then the verb, and then you choose one of these three words. These are very key for the comparative. You either say plus, moins, or aussi. Plus is more, moins is less, aussi, it means as, but it's like saying it's the same amount. So an example in the last slide where we said the alchemist is as long as the stranger, you would use that with aussi. So you put one of those before the adjective or the adverb, and then you put the word que, and then you have the second subject. So let's look at an example. So translating our example from the previous slide, saying French 2 is more difficult than French 1. The way that's going to be translated into French is le français 2 est plus difficile que le français 1. So we're going to check and make sure that we have each component of the comparative in here. We have our first subject, which is le français 2. We have our verb, which is est, meaning is. Then we choose between one of these. We chose plus because that means more. Then we have our adjective or adverb, but in this case it's an adjective, difficile, difficult. Then we have the word que, that's like our translation of than. And then we have our second subject, the thing that we are comparing our first subject to, which in this case is français 1. So more difficult than is translated as plus difficile que, and that is our comparative. Let's try a few more examples together. So if we want to say the alchemist is as long as the stranger, the key part when we're forming the comparative is to first figure out if we're going to use plus, moins, or aussi. And if we have as long as, we know that we're going to use aussi. So this is going to turn out la chimiste est aussi longue que l'étrangère. So we have aussi for as, then we have our adjective, and then que right before our second comparison point. We have Fridays are less tiring than Mondays. Les vendredis sont moins fatigants que les lundis. Michael Phelps swims faster than Ryan Lochte. Michael Phelps nage plus vite que Ryan Lochte. Sorry, and we're going to go back to this real quick because the one pattern that I want us to see is that for the comparative, you always have to have either aussi, moins, or plus, then the adjective or adverb, and then que. So we have aussi long que, moins fatigant que, plus vite que. If you're missing plus, moins, or aussi, or you're missing the que afterwards, it's not the correct comparative. Those are very important here. There are some irregular ones. Sorry, I know we love how many irregularities there are in French, but not all adjectives and adverbs fit into that pattern of plus, moins, aussi, and then an adjective and que. But I'm going to give you all the irregular ones here so you know what to look for. So for irregular adjective comparatives, instead of saying plus bon que, you don't say more good than. That's the same in English, right? You don't say this class is more good than. You would just say this class is better than. And in this case, better means meilleur, so don't say plus bon que, just use meilleur. Instead of plus mauvais que, you don't say more bad than. Same in English. We don't say more bad than, we just say worse, which in French is pire. And then for adverbs, instead of saying plus bien que, you don't say more well than, you just say better, and better en français, ça c'est mieux. So looking at an example of an irregular comparative back from our first slide, saying UCLA is better than USC. So we're looking for an adjective and we're trying to say it's better than. So we just say UCLA est meilleur que USC. You don't say plus bon que, you say meilleur que. So that is our one irregularity here for the comparative. And that's it for this part. We're going to be learning another way to compare things coming up later this week. But the comparative, it's just important to remember, only compares two things, and you always need plus, moins, or aussi, plus your adjective, plus que. And that's it.